Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 86 of How Do You Write? Today, I have Tessa Dare with me. After I announced that on the last podcast, a couple of people messaged me and said, "What?" Yes, she is one of my favorite writers. She writes historical romance, and it is fantastic. And you're going to love the inspiring interview with her. I was truly honored to be able to talk to her, and we had a great time. So, I also want to say, in a personal update, this seems obvious, but thank you so much for all of the support you gave me from last week's episode on my coming out, essentially, episode. I heard from a lot of people about their own addictions and sharing support. And I also got more than a few people saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That must have been so hard for you." And you know what? It was hard at the time, but I get the impression that some of these people are feeling sorry for me now. And I want to say firmly that this is true. I have this, and it sounds cheesy, but I'm going to say it anyway. I have never been happier. It's it's so cool. It's so cool. To top that off, since quitting drinking and using, I've been running. I added running in, and I forgot that that kind of physical exercise is such an endorphin dopamine boost as well, that on the days I run, I am insufferable. I am not even going to tell you about how good I feel because I am irritated with myself at how I just have like bluebirds flying around my head right now. I'm super thrilled. I'm scared and all of that kind of stuff because I'm scared of slips and all of the things I said last week. But overall, I just wanted to thank you for being freaking awesome. I knew you would be, but to have that come true is wonderful. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. In business news, I'm about to finish that thriller revision I've been working on. Thank you, God. I'm hoping to finish it on the plane or in Chicago this weekend. I'm going to be at the Sell More Books Summit in Chicago, where my co-host for the pedal and the pedal to the metal, Jay Thorne, and I will be doing a live podcast on Friday night. And then we've got presentations all day Saturday, Sunday. I am very much looking forward to that. I love the city of Chicago. I wish I had a little bit more time there, but when I come home, I'm going to be able to stay home for a while. I don't think I have to actually travel again until August, and it is May now, so that is going to be fantastic. May is my month of gardening. I'm doing this challenge where I try something new every month, and I think about it and I write about it. And I have been looking forward to the gardening month because I want an excuse just to spend all my extra time trying to make a garden grow, literally. Right now we are redoing remulching the backyard because we live in Oakland, we live above a creek, and the weeds flourish like you would not even know. I have weeds out there right now that are as tall as I am, and I'm 5'5". So we've done half of the yard. We did this, and I say we, but it was actually my wife, did this probably 8 years ago, where you put down the cardboard, you smother the weeds, and then you pile mulch on top. We are using an acacia tree that fell in our backyard, and we had the wood choppers chop it up and put it in our driveway. So we have this big pile of mulch in our driveway we have for weeks. But pretty soon it'll all be in the backyard. The last time we did this, the weeds didn't grow back for 4 or 5 years. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to look really nice. I'm going to try and put in some real flower gardens. I do every year a vegetable garden, which I love. Real small kind of square foot gardening, or I've done the straw bales as well. But I want flowers. I want flowers that I can bring in the house. So I've been doing a lot of reading and thinking about that. That'll be fun. I guess that's not really work related, but the only work related things right now are getting the revision off my table and going to Chicago. So I did just send out the last Patreon essay about travel and finding joy in travel by using the anticipation we feel about it. So that just went out. Thank you to all my Patreon subscribers. It means the world to me. I have two new patrons this week. I'd like to thank Anna Sandel and Janet Kitto. Thank you so much, you guys. You can always join the Patreon and get access to all of the 16 essays that are there at patreon.com/Rachael, and know that I appreciate it with all my heart. So let us now jump into the interview with Tessa. You are going to be delighted. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. And I wish you very happy writing. Get some writing done this week, okay? Hit me up on Facebook or Twitter or email and tell me all about it. I'd love to hear. Okay, take care. All right. Well, today I am so pleased. I could not be more pleased to welcome Tessa Dare to the show. Hello, Tessa.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh my gosh. We have been compatriots in the writing world, but really what this is an opportunity for me to fangirl because I love your books. I love them.
So nice of you.
I have this thing where you know what? I honestly don't always read that much romance because it makes me nervous about writing my own, if it's in my category. But I don't ever write historical, so you know, like it's like you and Sherry Thomas. And
I completely hear you, and I sometimes prefer to read contemporaries for the same reason.
Exactly. So you don't have to think about the job. Well, let me give you a quick introduction for the very few who don't know who you are. Tessa Dare is the New York Times and USA Today best-selling author of 14 historical romance novels and 5 novellas. Her books have won numerous accolades, including Romance Writers of America's prestigious RITA Award twice and the RT Book Review Seal of Excellence. Booklist magazine named her one of the stars of historical romance, and her books have been contracted for translation in more than a dozen languages. A librarian by training and a book lover at heart, Tessa makes her home in Southern California, where she lives with her husband, their 2 children, and a trio of cosmic kitties. Welcome again.
Thank you.
And you're also, let's point out, you're also on the board of RWA.
I am.
I'm on the local board. I said this to Priscilla Oliveris the other day. I'm on the local board, which just
I love her.
She's so great. Oh my God, I love her. And I don't know how you guys do it because just keeping up with that email volume at the local small level, I don't know how you do it and get anything else done.
You know, I think you'd be surprised that being a local chapter officer, I know is a huge amount of work as well, because I was on my local board, never in a president or executive capacity, but it's a tremendous amount of work as well. And you actually do quite a bit of it in person, whereas for the national board, it's almost all done online. So
which is the way we prefer as writers.
But it actually has been a great experience, and this is my last year. I'll be terming out, and it's overall been a fantastic experience. Even through the challenging parts, I've met so many people that I admire and am glad to know, and it's been just a great experience.
Oh, that's very cool. And let me officially thank you for performing that service, because we really appreciate all of you at that level.
It is an honor, as they say. That is really the truth.
Oh, that's cool.
It is an honor.
Well, let's jump into talking about your process, because you are prolific. You just bang, bang, bang. The books come out. You really do. You just keep them coming. So I would love to know about your writing process. What, when do you write? Where do you write? All of that good stuff.
That's really nice of you to say that they keep coming, because I feel like the slowest writer in romance right now.
Well, that's because everybody else is writing 16 books a year.
Exactly. The pace has picked up tremendously. And I am writing like 1.5 books a year. And I just feel like
they're steady. They're steady. A lot of the people I see burning out and stopping after 8 books in a year,
I can only imagine that if I wrote 8 books in a year, I would have to spend the next 8 years in a dark, quiet cave.
Me too. Me too.
But anyway, my hat is off to people who can do it. Some people really can write a lot, much more quickly than I can, and great for them. So anyway, my process, I actually have been I've never been somebody who has a very good routine, although I probably should. I have recently this year actually leased an official out of the house office with a friend of mine who is also a writer, Brenna Aubrey. She writes contemporary romance. Definitely check her out.
Will do.
She writes a geeky, gamery, slanted contemporary romance.
I'm in.
So yeah, I love it. So we rent an office together, and then I go there while my son is in school, and I'm able to have a little bit more of a routine as to having some dedicated hours for work. And we do not have Wi-Fi there.
Oh,
purposely.
dreamy. Yeah.
There's always the phone.
Yeah, that's true.
You can find little tricks to work around the phone too. Our new favorite is the Forest app. If you've never seen this, I think they have it for iPad too. It's an app where you grow little trees on the app. You tell it how long you want to work, like 30 minutes or something, and you there's different trees you can unlock. So you click, plant the maple tree or whatever it is for 30 minutes, and then if you switch away from that app to any other app on your phone, the tree dies. So
that is brilliant.
The 30 minutes, then you get this cute little tree in your forest. And if you don't, you have this dead stick, which is worse than no tree because you've killed it. It's terrible. So
I'm so getting that.
It's really, really good. It's really good motivation for me. And then you can kind of look back and see, oh, look at all my trees. Or
whoever thought of that.
Yeah.
That must have been a writer. Like, it can't have been like a tech bro. That was a writer saying, what would I want to see?
I possibly, I agree.
That's amazing. So now, do you write with a word count, or is it more of a time that your butt's in the chair?
Different days, whatever it takes to kind of get over it. I try not to work too much by word count because I find it discouraging mostly. I personally would rather just, I like to look back and say, okay, I accomplished that. So if whether it's just, sketching out a scene or typing up something that I have drafted by hand, I do a lot of hand drafting. Or
when you say hand drafting, is it like just your thoughts on paper, or is it actual first drafts hitting the page by pen?
Actual rough drafts.
Wow.
In a notebook. Yeah, so old school.
I love it though.
So somehow my brain works better that way. I have a lot of fear and doubt in my writing process, unfortunately, and it gets me very, not blocked, but it has me a hamster on a wheel a lot of the time, kind of spinning my wheels and second guessing my plots. And so I find it easier to write in a notebook because it feels like less pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I always have a notebook of the moment, and I just keep them going and then switch it up by different designs and things to keep myself interested. And I carry it everywhere, and then I will write very rough drafts, like fast, messy, mostly dialogue and a little bit of action. And then when I come to type them on the computer, I try to tell myself that I'm stenographer, like I'm typing up somebody else's words. And inevitably I flesh it out as I type it up, but that way it removes the pressure for me in a strange way. It's trying to get myself around the fright of the blank page.
I love that.
The hand drafting can be imperfect. It's supposed to be messy, and then the typing is just typing, and then hopefully that gets some words on the page.
I love that.
I've got to do.
And then you're into revision, which for me is my happy place.
Yeah, so. It's happy and sad. I don't always write. It's happy, but it can be crazy making for me because I don't always write in order. So I end up with all of these scenes that I have to somehow patch into this crazy quilt of a book. But I'm a terrible role model. No one should ever look at my process too closely or attempt to emulate it in any way. I am always trying to do the reverse, emulate other people.
I don't believe that though, because you said, that you don't have so much of a process, and maybe you should get one at the beginning of the show. It seems like that is your process, is to never have a routine process, but it's working for you.
Well,
So
eventually a book comes out.
So what is your biggest joy in writing or the writing life?
Well, my biggest joy is when the book comes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even though it's a nerve-wracking time, I also um, it's when you finally get to see your book go into the hands of readers and hear what they thought of it, which parts. I write a lot of humor.
Yeah, you do.
So for me, it's a relief when the book comes out and I can hear or know that people laughed at my jokes. Because you never know if what will make you laugh makes anyone else laugh. It's very subjective, humor is, and
That's funny.
it's very hard.
You're telling a joke and then you're waiting for the laughter.
Like,
18 months.
A year. Right, exactly. To see if people laughed. It's like being, a comic on a stage and just, at one end of a very long pipeline and just kind of waiting a light year away to hear
the laughter coming back. That's awesome.
So I like that part.
And what is
if they laugh, which usually somebody does.
Your books are hilarious, and you have that just perfect. You have perfect timing when it comes to humor too. Just spot on timing. So I appreciate that.
Works for you.
What
is your cadence of it? Really is the hardest thing to nail. I find.
Yeah. I am much better at making people cry.
Oh well,
and I do love that.
That's another kind of
talent. That's what I wait for.
For a different reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a good cry. Yeah. Sometimes you just want to laugh.
Yeah. On release day, that's what I'm checking Twitter for is who's the first person to cry.
Do you ever have people cry when they meet you at signing?
I have never had that happen. Have you had that?
Maybe like once or twice. And then
I don't know what I would do.
Just there was somebody, maybe a few like misty, but there was only one person that really just cried and I made her pose for a picture with me because I said, I know you're all messy and crying, but this is like the highlight of my life.
Hell
right now.
Yes.
She kept apologizing and I kept saying, no, you don't know how long I've waited. This is the most wonderful thing. So
that's my new life goal. Seriously.
Yeah, no kidding. Pass out like onion.
I know. And special
chopped onion on
and I'll get like swag Kleenex with my name on.
Just let the tears flow.
I bet somebody's totally done that. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to writing?
Well, I think I already probably mentioned it. Just I have a lot of self-doubt and a lot of second-guessing myself, and so I will often reconsider plots, and I almost write my draft as like this choose your own adventure sort of book, and then I have to pick a lane and put it all into one.
So, are you really a pantser then? Is that how it comes out?
No, I try to plan and then I'm wrong.
Me too. I've never heard anybody say it that clearly. Yes, me too. Yeah, I just get there and I was wrong. It looked great on the outline and it doesn't work.
Exactly.
So
then I start rearranging Post-its on the wall. Like, here's my new plan. And I write a little while on the new plan. And I'm like, no, I was wrong again.
Who is your editor at Avon?
Tessa Woodward. Oh, so that's all fun, we're two Tessas.
Two Tessas. That's great. Oh, well, let me go out of order then to the question then. So on the really bad self-doubt days, on the days where you just have those really dark, I'm a sham, I can never do this again. What do you do on those days? Do you have any?
Well, it's very nice now to have an office with a co-writer, not a co-writer, but a colleague there. So at least when we have those days, we can try to prop each other up.
Good point.
And it really is, makes a big difference. And I probably drive her crazy a lot, or other friends that I call on the phone or text or chat with. Like, as they get through every book, I burn through every one of my friendships by talking to them until they just get sick of it. Like, okay, Tessa, I've heard this book in 5 different versions and I'm so confused. I can't even help you anymore.
Uh,
So, if you want to be on that list,
I'll give you my phone number. That is a
I
good
think
friend though
friends
who will
is
listen.
about the only way you can get through it. People who understand, not just
Yeah.
friends real in other life, because those are wonderful as well, but a writer friend is really, I think, the only person who can truly understand.
Yes. I have a couple of girlfriends and we sit down regularly and we'll say, "Well, I'm not writing anymore. I quit." And
Hmm.
and they'll be like, "Okay, so what's the book about?" You
Yeah,
know? But
exactly.
but we really mean it when we say it.
Yeah,
But they
right.
know it's not true. So, great answer. Can you share a craft tip of any sort with us?
Well, the Forest app is a great one. I definitely
Yes,
recommend
that's
that.
fantastic.
That's my little practical tip. And I think in more general terms, I was just talking with somebody this morning, and we were talking about how we feel like very weird people, which, I mean, I don't think that's a misperception. I think I am a very weird person. Um, and so, our books come out kind of weird. And I was saying, I just think it's really important to be authentic, be yourself in your writing, because even if you feel a little quirky or not the standard voice for the genre,
Mm-hmm.
I really think if you lean into that and be yourself and be authentic with your emotions and with you really have to put yourself on the page, and that's what readers respond to. I definitely feel that there was a turning point in my own career where I started to just sort of write the kind of heroines that had all my own fears and insecurities instead of trying to write the aspirational character who is
Mm-hmm.
bolder than I am or more adventurous than I am. You started writing heroines with all these little nerdy interests and who got flustered around cute guys and had a blend of belief in themselves and also insecurities.
Yeah.
And that's when my career really actually started to take off. So I'm all about encouraging people to be authentic and to not worry about whether really that's this. I don't know, maybe you find the same. It's just the most validating thing when you put something really personal about yourself on the page and then somebody loves that book. It's isn't that a wonderful feeling?
When they say, "I feel
Yeah.
like you wrote this for me."
Yes, and that's the other thing. There's somebody out there. You can't write the book that will please everybody.
Right.
Books are not toasters. Like they
Right.
don't work out of the box for everyone. And that's the wonderful thing about reading. That's what makes it so personal, but it's a little bit frustrating as a person who writes books because you're never going to please everybody. But
Mm-hmm.
I try to focus on that one person. Somewhere there's somebody who's sitting in a hospital waiting room or on a long flight or picking up a book during nap time or whatever the case may be. And they just really need this particular book. And I try to think about that person when I get really in the weeds.
I love that. And I have to keep reminding myself of that because I'll also get caught up in the must write 16 books this year and be trying to think of the next big blockbuster and then I'll always come back to I have to write the book that I want to read, the one that
Yes.
I'm looking for. And it sounds
Yes.
trite and cliched, but I really do think, what would Rachel want to read if I walked in a bookstore? What would thrill
Right.
me the most to find?
Yes.
So
Yes.
doing that authentically,
Absolutely.
like you said. And
And
plus,
even with, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say what you said about being that authentic, quirky, weird self. It's that little surprise that keeps us reading, right? Like not surprise twists on the page, but actual surprise word combinations where they kind of light up and excite your brain, and you think, oh God, oh, that's so funny. I wouldn't have thought to say it that way, or what's going to
Oh,
happen next, and you do that all the time.
aw,
So
thank you.
what were you going to say though? I interrupted you.
Uh, I was just the idea of thinking, what would I want to read? When I get lost in the plot maze of a book, I try to pull back and say the same thing. Like if I read
Mm.
this blurb on the back of a book, what am I picking up the book hoping to read? And
Hmm.
sometimes that helps get me back on track.
That's huge. That's really good advice. I'm filing that one away because that'd be really helpful because I forget that all the time.
Yeah, I've started like putting my blurb at the top of my document
So
for
smart.
the book, because to just kind of like read it again at the time when
So
I sit
smart.
down to write, because it's so easy to get lost in all those little, but really what the reader is there for is those big emotional
Yeah,
moments. And they don't really care exactly how you work out the kidnapping necessarily. I mean,
exactly.
somebody does,
So,
but
well, there's always somebody who does,
when it's me, I don't.
I don't care. Even if I think like, the horse wouldn't have gone that way, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, it's a
no,
book.
no. Just give me the kiss when they reunite, right?
Like, that's what I'm reading
Yeah.
for. Speaking of books, what is the best book you've read recently, and why did you love it?
I have been listening to a lot of my
That
books lately,
counts. That's reading.
and I have really gotten into audiobooks because my son moved to a different school this year, and it's a school that's kind of a little bit of a drive away. That's
Mm-hmm.
another reason that the having the office closer to the school
Oh,
worked out, so I don't have to drive back and forth
good
twice.
idea. Yeah.
And we listen to audiobooks on to take the drive, so it's like an hour a day. And he's never been a big reader, and so he has read more books through his ears this year than I think he has in probably, all of elementary school
That's
on his own.
fantastic.
Probably, yeah. I'm spending so much money on Audible; it's really a problem, but it's a good problem to have. Like, we need to get you hooked up through the library because I can't afford this anymore. Um, so yeah. So I've been listening. I've kind of gotten hooked on the listening myself, and so I was thinking of a few books that I have listened to. Right now, I am about 2/3 of the way through. I got behind on Beverly Jenkins, so I'm going back to the beginning of her recent series because I never read the first one. It's Forbidden, and the whole series is set in. It's a historical, but it's set in post-Civil War Nevada,
Ooh.
in a small town, and I'm loving the historical setting because it's such a different. So she writes about eras in African American history, particularly, and so this town has a lot of free Black residents who are setting, a new life for themselves. And the heroine Edie has been on her way from Denver to California to set up a restaurant, and she, through mishaps, gets stuck in this little town in Nevada. And the hero I love, oh my gosh, he's amazing hero. His name's Ryan, and he is actually biracial, but he passes for white so that he can, because he thinks this is the way he can help the race more as being a figure in the town who's able to have that influence. And so it's just a really, and he actually has a fiance who is the daughter of a bigwig in the town, but he starts to fall in love with this woman who kind of fell into his wagons.
This sounds wonderful.
I'm just really, really enjoying it. I love it.
I love Beverly Jenkins, and
They're
I love a
great
Western.
characters.
So
Yeah. So
I'm
it's like
in.
a different kind of Western. The
Yeah.
cowboy thing hasn't ever like been my jam so much, but the idea of people who get to strike out and just make a whole new life, a whole new town, that's just really fascinating to me, because those always have to be really strong characters, right? The bravery to do that is just, it's amazing to me. And as somebody who lives in the American West, I think a lot about how that has molded sort of the culture around us. I don't know. It's just sort of the
Absolutely.
relative. Yeah.
Even
anyway.
now, I'll be driving and I'll look up into the hills and I'll think, my God, my smart car could not go over those hills. Like, how did they get a freaking buggy
with
wooden wheels?
Oxen. Right, exactly.
And who would do that? These people would do that.
Played Oregon Trail.
All of us, exactly.
How difficult it was.
I stood on it last year.
Crash the baby. I mean,
I know.
what was it like to take that chance?
Yeah.
So the characters are really strong and really
awesome.
So that's why I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to read the rest of this series.
That is going on my list. Thank you. That's awesome. And now tell us about yourself. And your latest book is The Duchess Deal, right?
Yes.
Which is on my Kindle. I haven't read it yet, but I can't wait. And then the second book comes out later this year?
Yes, it does. It comes out in August again. That's The Governess Game. So The Duchess Deal was the first book in a series called Girl Meets Duke. And so, again, I've got my usual sort of atypical heroines with their different backgrounds, and then and the cute dukes. I can't get enough of it. I mean, they're not all dukes proper, but the first one.
But in their hearts, in our hearts,
right. Or they're going to be at some point.
Yeah.
The second hero is an heir to a duke, so and each book they encounter one another. They have a meet cute that really sort of shakes them both up and sets their lives off in a different way. So, for example, in The Duchess Deal, the heroine is a seamstress she was a vicar's daughter, and she had a falling out with her father, and she left home in disgrace, has never been back, and she is working as a seamstress. She sewed the wedding dress for this woman who was going to marry a duke. Well, the duke came back from Waterloo with a lot of injuries and scars, and the wedding and plans broke off, and my heroine never got paid for the dress. So she sent
love it.
So, this is what she's about. She's got to eat. She's got to pay her rent. So she has sent notes and bills to no avail. And so she finally decides she's going to give him a way that he cannot ignore her. So she puts on the dress and she just strolls up to his door and is like, I need to get paid for this. And at the very same time, he's been sitting in his office writing a letter to his lawyers like, oh, God, I have to get married, find somebody who's willing to marry this guy who's cranky and scarred and never leaves the house. And she just walks in. She's in a wedding dress. She's pretty. She's, ostensibly a gentleman's daughter, even though she's now working as a seamstress. And he's like, hey, well, I could pay you for the dress, I guess, or I could marry you, which do you want? And she takes the money for the dress and leaves.
Okay, girl. That just went to the top of my Kindle pile. Oh my God, that is wonderful.
Yeah, book kind of starts in some way like that. A chance encounter.
That's wonderful. I'm always a sucker too for a vicar's daughter. Anything about sewing, I'm 100% in. And where can we find you?
I did well with the sewing because I can't craft at all. So you can let me know.
You would have already heard. If you got it wrong.
All right. I can tell you my most embarrassing. It's not.
Yes.
My most embarrassing moment / typo as an author.
Please.
Another book, Romancing the Duke. When you said so, it made me think of it.
I loved Romancing the Duke, but I don't remember. Through my endless drafts, my editor, the copy editor, and the proofreaders, in the final book it says, sow his wild oats with an SEW. Twice in the same scene. That's horrible.
It is horrible. It's so bad. And the very day it came out, I had people emailing me, and I had to do this big mea culpa, and I was so embarrassed. And I know.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Oh.
And I don't know how it got past all of us. It was just so frustrating.
I have a worse one. I have yes. In my very first book, through everything, through both American and we sold it separately to Random House. So Random House was eventually the ones who caught it, but through, editor, copy editor, proofreader, everybody missed that there was a dog who's actually my dog who's asleep right there on the couch. She's an old dog in a car that goes over a cliff and crashes. Oh, no. And don't kill the dog. Don't kill Clara. No. So in the New Zealand version, I said, Abby gets her out of the truck and ties her to a tree. She's fine. But but I still get email almost on a daily basis from people who are furious about the
The
dog
dog.
and how, and I made Clara a page that says, I'm fine. Abby got me out of the truck. Here I am. I'm actually Rachel's dog. Like,
Hey,
we
yeah,
all
pictures.
missed
Here's
it.
the proof.
Exactly.
Well, dogs, they're resilient. They've survived worse. I mean, that at least doesn't make you look
Well,
illiterate.
yeah. I think I'd rather have Clara than the
I
cell.
almost killed a dog in a book, and my editor talked me out of it.
Yeah.
I wrote a very, very old dog in one of my books that the hero was taking care of for his brother, and he was just kind of like trying to keep it alive until his brother came home. And I was gonna have it die because my own dog was old and dying at the time, and so it was kind of a way to process that. But my editor talked me out of having him die, so he doesn't die in the book.
Your readers would have hated you. As a fellow writer, I would have loved you, because every time anybody kills an animal in a book, I'm like, damn, that is daring.
Even though he was old and he would have gone peacefully, she still
don't kill the dog.
But my own dog. Actually, the weekend I was doing the copy edits on the book. Okay, talk about ending on a sad note.
Well, tell us where we can find you online.
I have a website, tessadare.com. I am mostly the most active on Twitter, at Tessa Dare, all one word. I have Facebook, but that's generally just sort of announcements. I have a page at facebook.com/Tessa Dare author. I have an Instagram that only my assistant posts to. I will be completely honest. Like, I barely know how to log in, but it is Tessa_Dare. And, just email, of course.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this with me. I'm such a huge fan, and you've just made this writer's absolute day, and I know you're going to make so many of the listeners.
Well, it was a lot of fun to chat with you.
Thank you, Tessa. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.